Dear students, today we will discuss a little bit some about the basics of the agronomy, agriculture, that agriculture agronomy, and also the agroclimatology. So that itself it is a very vast topic actually, and it is very difficult to complete such an important topic in a 2 hour time. So we will go quickly and I will highlight some important points and some important aspects from where the that important top points for the examination point of view. So first that as on that day we have discussed the agriculture is derived from the Latin word and agronomy from the Greek word. And some important dates in agriculture, as might you know, if you go through the books, some important books like Principle of Agronomy by Reddy and S.R. Reddy, they're the basic books in agronomy. And you can find out that one table that they have given the importance of the dates, out of which that 3-4 dates more important in my point of view. That use of the iron in agriculture, that is 1400 BC, and cultivation of rice, that is 2022, 222 BC, and the wheel was invented in 3400 BC. So these are some important dates. And before that, we should also know the agronomy. What is agronomy? The agronomy basically that all of you should learn the proper definition of the agronomy. And the proper definition first given by the 1980 by the Norman. And he defined the science of manipulating the crop environment complex with dual aims of improving the agricultural productivity and gaining a degree of understanding of the process involved. Means agronomy is a science where we use to understand the process involved, how that particular crop is can produce the more yield. So this is the kind of that we can define the agronomy in this term. And there are several important dates in agronomy, that milestones in agronomy we can say. And you might know the at least all the ICR institutions, their names: deemed university in ICAR, Central Agricultural University, their data of establishment, and also the data of establishment of some ICR institutions. And in DRF examination, previous trends, there are almost purely one matching from the institutions, their full form or that their location, that place of establishment. For example, Kajri established in 1959, asking so many times in JRF examination. And similarly, that Indian Society of Agronomy, located at IRI New Delhi, Division of Agronomy. Similarly, the Indian Society of Beet Science is located at Jabalpur. So these some important societies, we should know their locations and their year of establishment, and also their journal they are publishing, and the frequency of the journal. Both the question as earlier asked in examination, the Indian Journal of Beet Science and Indian Journal of Agronomy. Similarly, you must know some important journals. Suppose I am telling you some trick, like Beet Science, Beet Today, Beet Technology. The three important journal in Beet Science. So in Hindi you can learn like this कि आज के दौर में साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में सबसे आगे कंट्री किसको मानते हैं हम लोग? अमेरिका को। आज के दौर में, आज मतलब बीट टुडे, साइंस, बीट टेक्नोलॉजी, बीट साइंस, बीट टुडे, बीट टेक्नोलॉजी, पब्लिश्ड बाय द यूएसए। आज के दौर में साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी में अमेरिका आगे है। तो दैट्स व्हाई you can learn like this: beet science, beet today, beet technology, published by the USA. And some important journals that soil and tillage research, published by the elsewhere. Okay. And advances in agronomy, published by the American Society of Agronomy. Advances in soil science, and Archives of Agronomy and Soil Science, and Journal of Cleaner Production. They published by the Journal Elsewhere Publishers. So these kind of the journal that Craft Science Society of America also published the journals. So this you must know these some important journals and their publishers, and also some important terms, important scientists related to the field in agriculture. So you must know the name of this important scientist. Suppose that principle of the vegetation is a water. Who told this? That is given by the Van Helmont. Van Helmont suggested that the sole nutrition was the water. Then initially he suggested like this. And similarly, the pot culture experiment. Pot culture experiment, who has started pot culture experiment? That is Arthur Young. And he wrote the book Annals of Agriculture, 46 volumes. How many volumes? 46 volume books that are Arthur Young written on the basis of the findings he achieved from the pot culture experiments. Similarly, the Elements of Agriculture Chemistry. Elements of Agriculture Chemistry is written by Sir Humphrey Davy. Sir Humphrey Davy. And DDT. DDT was first synthesized by the Paul Muller. And father of the field plot experiments is J.B. Boussingault. So J.B. Boussingault is called as the father of field plot experiments. So you must know the name of the some important scientists related to the field of agronomy, agriculture and agronomy. Similarly, that you know that Apus Rulerium Kamo Dharma, written by the Peter de Crescenze. So all of you, I think, know the name of the scientist. And one table is given in the SRAD books. You go through that one, and there are probability to ask these kind of the questions. And Justice Ball Living. Justice Ball Living, who has proposed that the plant obtained the carbon dioxide from the air, but not from the soil. And he has given the law of minimum. Then who has given the law of minimum? That is Justice Ball Living. And important thing that Lewis and Gilbert, he has started the Rothamsted Experiment Station in UK. It is very important question. Who has started the Rothamsted Experimental Station? And another important dates in agronomy is that Joint Department of Agriculture and Revenue was established in 1870. You write down it. The Joint Department of Agriculture, Revenue and Commerce was established in 1870 on the recommendation of the Famine Commission of 1880. And Imperial Agriculture Research Institute, nowadays IARI, was established in 1903 at Pusa, Bihar. That on the that donation given by the Miss Phyllis.
Sir,
and later in 19
Hello.
Yeah,
PPT are not moving. PPTs are not moving.
Actually, these slides, these things are not given in PPT. I am telling you the general dates. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
This name of the scientist, it is not possible to incorporate all the name of the scientist in the slides. Just I am telling you this some important scientist name. While actually this name I learned actually. So another important date is that in Imperial Council of Agriculture Research, and that is shifted to Delhi in 1936 after the earthquake in Bihar in 1934. These dates you have to remember. And another important date is that Department of Agriculture and Revenue, I have told you, 1870, and somewhere you can find in 1871. So these are some important dates. You must remember that. And similarly, that First Irrigation Commission. First Irrigation Commission, when by the First Irrigation Commission was started, this is also the important to know you that in 1900. And another important program, that Integrated Rural Development Program, that was started in 1978. So these important dates you must remember, and in examination probably these kind of the question can be asked. And I am sure that not less than 4-5 questions you can find in any that important examination of the agronomy. So now we will start the meteorology. Meteorology, that first you know what is the environment. What is the environment? So environment simply the aggregate of all the external conditions and influences or affecting the life and development of the organism. These things you must know the definition of the environment, and environment comprises the so many things. Okay. Sorry, first we should that if anybody have any question regarding the dates, you can kindly ask me. Otherwise, I will go to the agrometeorology portion. And if there is no question, no issue, then you can ask it later on. The lithosphere. Lithosphere is a solid portion of the atmosphere that in environment, and hydrosphere is the water portion, and atmosphere is the gaseous portion. So these things is comprised in the environment. And what is the weather? Weather is the day-to-day condition. Day-to-day condition. You must remember that difference between the weather and climate. Weather is the day-to-day condition, and climate is the aggregate of weather. Climate is the aggregate of the weather. Means the weather at a place at a time, but climate represent the large area and also over the period of time. So this is the basic difference between the weather and climate. Then what is the climatology? Climatology is the nature of climate and how it differs from place to place and how it is related to the human activity. It's called the climatology. Similarly, in soil science, you can find the pedology and edaphology. Both terms is important in soil also, pedology and edaphology. Edaphology, soil and its relation with the crop production. And pedology deals with the soil, minerals and other studies. Similarly, meteorology. Meteorology is the branch of physics. You must remember it. Meteorology is the branch of physics. Deals with the day-to-day atmospheric condition and their causes. So here is clear, climatology and meteorology. Both is totally different to each other. And agroclimatology, when the climate related with the agriculture, means relevance of the climate to the agriculture be studied in a particular subject, that is called the agroclimatology. So climatology, meteorology and agroclimatology. Next, the agrometeorology. Agrometeorology means meteorology in relation with the agriculture. Meteorology in relation with the agriculture means relevance with the agriculture. So these are the basic things you must know, these kind of the things. And when we differentiate the climate and weather, the climate defines the choice of the crops, or by which we can find that which kind of the crop at particular location we have to grow, and which kind of the farm equipment we have to purchase, and irrigation. And similarly, weather will guide us for the land preparation, data planting, data sowing, the small activity, day-to-day routine activity. And you can find that today's weather condition in Delhi, today's weather condition in Akola, like this. So this is the weather. By weather, we can plan day-to-day activity, not in our life, but also in the agricultural field. So that is the basic difference between the climate and weather. One important landmark is the establishment of the World Meteorological Organization. World Meteorological Organization was established in Geneva, Switzerland in 1951. An International Meteorological Organization, that is IMO, was established in 1878. Another important milestone in India, Division of the Agriculture Meteorology, was created in 1932 in IMD. And Professor L.A. Ramdas, basically considered the father of agrometeorology in India, started the pioneer work in agrometeorological research in India. And the IMD launched the Kraft weather calendar. Kraft weather calendar. The question can ask the who has from where the Kraft weather calendar is released. That is from the IMD. And Kraft weather calendar related to the phenology of the crafts. Phenology of the crafts. And again, the important thing is that the farmer weather bulletins. The farmer weather bulletins started by the IMD in 1945. Kajri, I have already told you, established in 1959. And some equal things, that equal lines. So you must know these kind of the things. Suppose that line depicting the equal temperature, that is called isotherm. And line showing the equal pressure, that is called isobar. So the one question probably asked in so many examinations related to these equal lines, equal number, atomic number, like this. There are n number of the kind of the things, like equal temperature, equal pressure. Okay. So these kind of the things you must know. Now come to the weather elements. Before that, I also want to discuss with you that segment of the, we can say, atmosphere, structure of the atmosphere. So structure of the atmosphere, you must know that atmosphere is a colorless, tasteless, and odorless mechanical mixture of the gases surrounding the earth. And one important thing is that the atmosphere contains the 0.03% carbon dioxide, but soil having the near about 0.3 or 0.5% carbon dioxide. Means the carbon dioxide content is more in soil as compared to the atmosphere. You remember it, the question is asked in so many examinations. The carbon dioxide content in soil is more as compared to the atmosphere. In atmosphere, it is 0.03%, and in soil, it is 0.3 or 0.5%. And the structure of the atmosphere, you might know, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and most of the weather-related phenomena occurs in the troposphere. And troposphere, the lowest layer in the atmosphere. And after troposphere, that is stratosphere. And in stratosphere, we have the ozone layer. We have the ozone layer that is important to us and safe from the ultraviolet rays. And after that, the mesosphere. And the line between two layers, suppose the troposphere and stratosphere is called tropopause. Stratosphere, mesosphere, stratopause. The line separating the two layers, you can denote by the pause. And thermosphere, it is important line that separated by the mesopause from the mesosphere, and most of the we can say the long distance radio waves and all activity occurs in the thermosphere. Thermosphere also known as the isosphere. Now it comes to the weather elements. First important weather elements is solar radiation. Solar radiation is very, very important weather elements. And on the basis of the solar radiation, we can divide the crafts also, and also the different kind of the solar radiation, diffuse radiation, active radiations. So first, we should go the what is the solar constant? Solar constant is the amount that is at a particular place in that particular time, that unit time at a unit amount. The average solar constant is 1.94 calorie per centimeter square per minute. This value is very, very important value and asked in so many examinations. What is the solar constant? And another form of the solar radiation is the PAR. That PAR, that is photosynthetical active radiation. The photosynthetical active radiation is higher in the diffuse radiation as compared to the direct radiation. PAR is 65% in diffuse radiation and 42% in direct radiation. So if question is come in examination, the average content of the PAR in radiation, that is 45%, and that photosynthetical active radiation more in the diffuse radiation. So you must know these values. And the most important thing in that we are experiencing the temperature. Solar radiation indicates the degree of the temperature also. And if you know that the solar constant that is 1.94 calorie per centimeter per minute, and also it expresses in the Langley. Langley is also the unit, and that is average the 2 Langley per minute. 2 Langley per minute. That is Langley. Langley, 2 Langley per minute. Actually, that solar constant is not a true constant, basically, we can say. And this is influenced by as much as 3.5% about its mean value. Means the factor that can vary with the solar constant, that is 3.5%. The value is more than 3.5% or less than 3.5%. And this is if we go in detail in that 1.94 calorie per centimeter square per minute. If we go in detail, we can find that 35% of this value is contributed by the ultraviolet and visual parts, and remaining 65% by the infrared. Means that in solar constant, the value of the infrared is much more as compared to the ultraviolet and visual parts. Ultraviolet and visual parts having only the 35%, and remaining part having the 65%. So it is very important. Now the important thing is the albedo. So what is the albedo? Albedo is a reflection in the radiation without changing its quality. So it is very important. You must know the definition of the albedo. And albedo, that surface having the different kind of the albedo. That fresh snow, highest albedo percentage in the fresh snow. Fresh snow having the highest reflection, that is 75 to 95%. You can make a one table. I will give you some important value. That fresh snow having the albedo percent 75 to 95%, and human skin having near about 45%. Be that reflecting the light, that is 45%, and sand dunes means sand, dry sand dunes, that is reflection 35 to 45%. The crop plant, the albedo of the crop plants, very important. This question is asked in previous examinations also. Crop plants, albedo of the crop plant is 15 to 25%. 15 to 25%. And the dark soil, the albedo is 5 to 15%. So albedo of the crop plant is 15 to 25%, and fresh snow 75 to 95%. And from the coniferous forest, on the average you can get from the forest, that is the 15 से 15 to 20%, 15 से 20% जो होता है, that is from the forest. And from the wet soil or dark soil, that is from 5 to 15%. And very good reflector of that of the that radiation is snow, fresh snow. Okay. And there is several laws also related with the radiation. So we will not go in detail in these laws. That first one, the Planck's law that quantify the energy constant in proportion to the frequency, and Kirchhoff law. There are so many laws. So now we come to the measurement of the solar radiation. Measurement that you must know the 1 watt. 1 watt is equal to the 1 joule and 697.93 baht per meter square equal to 1 calorie per centimeter square per minute. Now the question can come that solar constraint in baht per meter square. So you should know that 697.93 baht per meter square to 1 calorie. Similarly, the 1.94 calorie, how much the baht will be equal? This question can ask in this way also. Similarly, the 1000 lux is equal to 3.47 megajoules. Lux is also an important unit of the measurement of the solar radiation. And again, there's similar several classification of the plants also. That side-living plants, that xeophytes and heliophytes. Xeophyte means side-living plant, and heliophyte means sun-loving plant. There are different kind of the different kind of the saturation limits also. I will tell you later on. So the measurement, the Campbell-Stokes sunshine recorder is a simple instrument recording the number of the hour per sunshine, and pyranometer. Pyranometer is used to measure the all wavelengths coming from the entire hemisphere. Pyranometer to measure the all wavelengths. To measure the all wavelengths. And pyroheliometers. Pyroheliometers is measured the direct solar radiation. Direct solar radiation is measured by the pyroheliometers, and radiometers it a net radiation. And spectroradiometer, that is narrow wave bands. Spectroradiometers measure the narrow wave bands. Similarly, the classification of the graphs also on the basis of the quality of the solar radiation. That is short day plant, that is photo period less than 10 hours per day. And long day plants, the photo period more than 14 hours per day. And day neutral plants is unaffected by the lights. And PAR is also measured in the Einstein unit and equal to the 1 mole of photon. Okay, and lux, I have already told you the intensity of the solar radiation measured by the lux meter. Next important element is temperature. First we should that first I will finish the intensity. That heliophyte means sun-loving and xeophyte means side-living plant. There is a two points: compensation, light compensation point, and light saturation points. Light compensation point and light saturation point. Light compensation point is the minimum light intensity at which respiration is equal to the photosynthesis. And higher the temperature, higher will be the compensation point on the basis of the solar radiation. On an average, the heliophyte plants, the light compensation point is 50 feet candles. 50 feet candles. That is the heliophyte plants having the compensation points. And another important is the light saturation. Light saturation is the maximum intensity at which the rate photosynthesis reach maximum value. And most of the xeophyte plants reaches the maximum value, means light saturation of the xeophyte plants is 1000 feet candles. 1000 feet candles is the light saturation points of the xeophyte plants. And light compensation point is 50 feet candles for xeophyte plants. So these two digits you have to retain: light saturation point and light compensation points. Now I come to the temperature. Temperature means degree of hotness or degree of coldness. Degree of hotness or degree of coldness measured by the thermometer. The temperature measured by the thermometer. And first you know the process of the heat transfer. Temperature denotes the degree of hotness or degree of coldness, and temperature is measured by the thermometer. Two important things is that process of the heat transfer and heating of the atmosphere. And the process of the heat transfer means heat can flow between 2 points by a means of the 3 basic process: conduction, convection and radiation. Heat transfer की 3 तरीके हैं. First one is the conduction, second one is the convection, third one is the radiation. कंडक्शन में हीट ट्रांसफर कैसे होता है आप सभी लोग जानते होंगे. कंडक्शन इज द ट्रांसफर ऑफ हीट बाय मॉलिक्यूलर एक्टिविटी. मींस फर्स्ट one molecule heated and it transfer the heat to the another molecule and they are speeded up and this energy transferred to the adjacent molecule. Conduction and convection, the medium of the heat transfer in liquid and gases from the motion of the fluid. Convection is much faster than the conduction. And radiation is the transfer of the energy by the electromagnetic waves. Very, very important. The transfer of the energy by the radiation through the electromagnetic waves. This question was asked in examination earlier. The transfer of the heat in radiation through electromagnetic waves. And electromagnetic waves, it travels by the speed of the light. Unlike the conduction and convection, radiation does not require any kind of the medium. And transfer of the energy by radiation occurs in the wide spectrum of the wavelength. So, radiation is very, very important medium of the heat transfer. Another important thing is the heating of atmosphere. Heating of atmosphere, you know, the maximum temperature occurs at 2 p.m. So why the maximum temperature occurs at 2 p.m.? The basic reason is that first the heat energy transfers to the air by the process of the conduction, convection and radiation. And after that, the subsequent layer, the first layer, after that the subsequent layer, and the heated air extended and become lighter and moving the upper layers. This is the reason by which the maximum temperature occurs at 2 p.m. as compared to the 12 noon. However, the maximum radiation occurs around 12 noon. Maximum temperature at 2 p.m. and maximum radiation at 12 noon. And two important things after that is the diurnal and seasonal variation in temperature. Diurnal and seasonal variation in temperature means temperature is higher during the daytime and lesser during the night time. The temperature variation between the day and night is called the diurnal variation. If the question is important here, diurnal variation is less in coastal area. Diurnal variation is less in coastal area because there is a less variation between the daytime temperature and nighttime temperature. The question is asked in examination, the diurnal variation is less in, that is in coastal area. And variation in the season in the temperature is called seasonal variation. And horizontal and vertical inversion on the temperature, we can say that horizontal and vertical variation in the temperature, not inversion. The variation in the temperature decreases when we move from the equator to the pole. When we move from this is the equator, suppose, and move to the towards the pole, the temperature is decreases while we are moving to the poles as compared to the equator. The highest temperature at equator and lowest is the pole. Another important thing is the temperature gradients. Two things is the lapse rate and adiabatic lapse rates. Lapse rate, the value of lapse rate is 6.5 degrees centigrade per kilometer. This value is asked in so many times. Similarly, the adiabatic lapse rate also asked in so many times, that is 10 degrees centigrade per kilometer. Now the important thing is the soil temperature. Soil temperature. The soil temperature moves through the thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is the quantity of the heat flowing in a unit time through a unit cross section of the soil in response to the specified temperature gradient. On that day, I have discussed in detail about the thermal conductivity, how thermal conductivity affected by the soil organic carbon content, porosity, and also the soil moisture content. So today I will not go in detail how the thermal conductivity behavior in the soil. And measurement of the temperature, you might know that variation in the soil temperature below 1 meter soil, that 80 centimeter they have written. I think that below the 80 centimeter or 1 meter soil, there is no variation in the soil temperature. So you must learn this value. Less than that soil depth more than 80 centimeter, there is no variation in the soil temperature. And soil temperature measured in the Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. So that you must know the relationship between these three units. The melting and boiling point of the water, that is 32 and 210 degree Fahrenheit, and Celsius, that is 0 and 100, and absolute temperature always measured in the Kelvin, and melting point of the water is 273 degree Kelvin. Here, one important thing also, the maximum density of water is at 4 degree centigrade temperature. The maximum density of the temperature is at 4 degrees centigrade. This question is very important and asked in so many times in examination. Somebody asking the difference between the lapse rate and adiabatic lapse rate. So lapse rate is the vertical temperature decrease. How we are increasing? We decrease in the vertical temperature. So lapse rate varies when that we increase the distance in the vertical, means difference in the vertical, that 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer, 4 kilometer, like this. And like this in decreasing the temperature, that is normal decreasing is 6.5 degrees centigrade per kilometer, means while we increasing the distance in the 1 kilometer, then the temperature will decrease to the 6.5 degrees centigrade or 3.5 degree Fahrenheit. And another is the adiabatic lapse rate. Adiabatic lapse rate, temperature changes are air rising related to the air basically. If air rises or falls, it influences the temperature, and it is constant in the dry air. If we do not have the dry air, then it varies. In dry air, that's why adiabatic lapse rate is called dry adiabatic lapse rate. I think it is clear now. Next important thing is that measurement of the temperature. Maximum thermometer and minimum thermometer is used to measure the temperature. Maximum thermometer measure the maximum temperature measured by the maximum thermometer, and minimum temperature measured by the minimum thermometer. And soil temperature is the soil temperature measured by the maximum thermometer, means soil thermometer is the maximum thermometer. You know that you should write down it. Soil temperature measured by the maximum thermometer. If in examination question asked like this, that soil temperature is measured by, or soil thermometer is a minimum thermometer or maximum thermometer, then maximum thermometer or the thermocouple. And once that when you come to the graph, thermograph, that bar graph, means once it comes in the graph, it means continuous measurement. Continuous measurement comes through the graph. It may be the it may be the humidity, it may be the temperature, it may be the radiation. There's the graphs come in the last, the continuous measurement. Now the important thing is the atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure means the pressure exerted by the atmosphere on the earth's surface is called the atmospheric pressure. जहां atmospheric pressure ज्यादा होगा, वहां temperature कम होगा या ज्यादा होगा? Anybody send me in chat box.
Low.
जब एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा देन टेम्परेचर विल बी, you can send in chat box, we will discuss in the last. All of you, whatever you know, you send in the chat box. When we increase the atmospheric pressure, what will be the effect on the temperature?
Temperature will be decreases.
If pressure is more, temperature will be. Okay, we'll discuss it later on. First, we complete these things. Another important thing is the wind. What is the wind? Air in motion. Air in motion is called wind, and that pressure is measured by the barometer, and wind is measured by the anemometer. Okay, so air in motion is called wind, and when the wind blowing in the more than that more speedily than that, the glare means andhi. Another important weather element is the humidity. Humidity denotes the water vapor content in the atmosphere. Water vapor content in the atmosphere. There are the three kinds of the humidity: absolute humidity, specific humidity, and relative humidity. Absolute humidity, specific humidity, and relative humidity. इन तीन में से एक क्वेश्चन कई एग्जामों में पूछा जा चुका है. So you should know the proper definition. Absolute humidity is the actual amount of the water vapor present in the given volume of the air. Actual amount of the water vapor present in the air. And specific humidity, weight of the water vapor per unit of the air. Per unit of the air, excluding the water vapor. Important thing is that excluding the water vapor. Unit is gram per kg. Gram per kg. And absolute humidity, weight per volume, gram per cubic meter. The difference is very clear. Absolute humidity measured in the gram per cubic meter. Gram per cubic meter means weight per unit volume. And specific humidity, weight per weight. Weight per weight means gram per kg. And relative humidity is the ratio between the amount of the water vapor present in the air and the amount of the water vapor required for the saturation. It is expressed in the percentage. जो तीन तरह का ह्यूमिडिटी है, इनमें से एक ह्यूमिडिटी से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन कहीं न कहीं जरूर आप लोगों को एग्जामिनेशनों में मिल सकता है. And again the measurement of the humidity. Measurement of the humidity. The equipment using for the humidity, that is the hair hygrometers. And hygrograph continuously measure the humidity. Another important element is the evaporation. Evaporation means loss of the water from the soil. And evaporation is measured by the evaporimeter. United States evaporimeter. You know the cylinder of the vessel, that is height of the vessel is the 25 centimeter and diameter is the 122 centimeters. 25 centimeter and 122 centimeter is the fixed diameter. इसमें इधर उधर नहीं लिखना है, इसको लर्न करना है. 25 centimeter height रहेगी and 122 centimeter that is diameter. Similarly, that Sankon screen evaporameter also having the 45 centimeter height and 60 centimeter diameter. Sankon screen evaporameter is 45 centimeter height and having the 60 centimeter diameter. And USWB, that is 25 centimeter height and 122 centimeter diameter. Another important parameter is the rainfall. What is the rainfall? Precipitation having the more than 0.5 mm diameter is called rainfall. Precipitation and rainfall both are synonyms, but rainfall is a part of precipitation. Precipitation means falling any kind of the condensed moisture. Any kind of the condensed moisture to the ground surface is called precipitation. Any kind of the condensed moisture falling on the ground from the atmosphere is called the precipitation. But rainfall is a part of the precipitation when the droplet having the more than 0.5 mm diameter and size of the ordinary raindrop is 0.5 to 4 mm. And what is the drizzle? The size of the raindrop is less than 0.5 mm is called drizzle. Here the two important things is that rainy day and crop rainy day. Rainy day, in a particular day, rainfall is more than 2.5 mm, but crop rainy day is more than 5 mm a day. If rainfall occurs more than 5 mm a day, it's called crop rainy day. And that measurement of the rainfall by the rain gauge. Okay, and also radio waves is also used to measurement of the that rainfall. Clouds, I will not go in detail in clouds. Cloud, I am telling you the one thing. अगर क्लाउड के पीछे कुमुलस लगा है, कुमुलस जैसे सिर्रो कुमुलस एंड निम्बो मीन्स वाटर, जिसमें निम्बो लगा है वो रेनफॉल वाले क्लाउड्स होंगे. ओके, एंड जहां कुमुलस लगा है, कुमुलस मीन्स दैट cauliflower kind of the shape. So these are some tricks to learning the different kind of the clouds. And another important thing is the hydrological cycle. Continuous circulation of the water between the hydrosphere, atmosphere and lithosphere. Continuous circulation of the water between the hydrosphere, atmosphere and lithosphere is called hydrological cycle. And average annual precipitation of the world is 1000 mm. इंडिया का है 1194 mm and वर्ल्ड का है 1000 mm. Now it come to the monsoon. Monsoon is the Arabic word derived from the mausam. Monsoon is a Arabic word derived from the mausam. And मानसून क्यों होता है, मानसून क्यों आता है? Monsoon comes due to the variation in the radiation, solar radiation. It causes the different kind of the pressure and temperature. It causes the different kind of the pressure and temperature gradient that monsoon occurs. इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स ध्यान देने वाली ये है, जैसे सोलर रेडिएशन गिरता है, देन टेम्परेचर इज हायर एट दी जैसे टेम्परेचर गिरता है, द टेम्परेचर इज हायर ऑन द इक्वेटर and lower at the poles, and resulting in the rise of the air and decreasing the pressure in the lower layer of the atmosphere. The low pressure area near the equator is called doldrum. What is doldrum? When temperature is increasing near the equator, the temperature is increasing and pressure is decreasing. जब temperature बढ़ेगा, then pressure घटेगा. And this is called the low pressure area on the equator is called doldrum. Then what is the doldrum? High pressure, high temperature, low pressure is called the doldrum. You correct yourself in the previous question also. High temperature, low pressure is called the doldrum. And again, the air in the polar region moves to the temperate zone by the rotation of the earth. So due to the movement of the air from the polar region, pressure decreases at the polar region, known as the polar calm. जब polar पे pressure कम होगा तो उसको कहेंगे polar calm. And again, the earth is a two distinct low pressure area. First one is the doldrum on the equator, and polar calm on the polar. the latitudinal weight between the 30 to 35 of both south and north are called harsh latitude. Remember it. What is harsh latitude? Harsh latitude lies between the 30 to 35 degree of south and north direction. South and north. एक क्वेश्चन कई बार एग्जामों में पूछा जा चुका है. The harsh latitude lies between 30 to 35 degree, both north and south. कितनी बार तो मेजरमेंट कर चुके हो आप लोग यार? So the low pressure area on the equator is called doldrum, and low pressure area at the calm is called the polar calm. So that harsh latitude lies between the 30 to 35 degree of both south and north. The air current in the upper layer, both the equator and poles, meet at the harsh latitude. Harsh latitude पे आके दोनों तरह से प्रेशर मिलता है and produce the belt of the high pressure. जब high pressure बनता है, that's why it is very difficult to cross the harsh latitude. That is called the harsh latitude. ऐसे कुछ मानना है अरेबियन सी में on the that time जब ट्रेड होता था तो हार्श लेटिट्यूड से बचा के वो लोग ट्रेडिंग करते थे कि अगर हार्श लेटिट्यूड में हम लोग चले गए तो इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू कम आउट. So it is all about the mean system of the monsoon, and there are the two types of the monsoon: south-west monsoon and northeast monsoon. South-west monsoon is reached Kerala around the 1st of June every year. Around the 1st of June every year. 1st of June every year, the monsoon reaches in the Kerala, and India is situated into the northeast trade wind zone. एक क्वेश्चन भी कई बार एग्जामों में पूछा गया है. इंडिया इज सिचुएटेड इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट ट्रेड विंड जोन. नॉर्थ ईस्ट ट्रेड विंड जोन. नाउ कम्स टू द सीजन. Season in India we divided the cold weather period, hot weather period, southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon. Southwest monsoon is called the grand rainfall period. 60 to 70% rainfall received due to the southwest monsoon. एक क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है कि हाईएस्ट रेनफॉल कब होती है? दैट इज इन द साउथवेस्ट मानसून. मोर देन 60% rainfall received in the south through the southwest monsoon, and northeast monsoon only the 30%, 30 to 33% rainfall received by the northeast monsoon. And northeast monsoon, especially the rainfall received in the South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, coastal Andhra Pradesh. Tamil Nadu and coastal Andhra Pradesh. ये भी क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट मानसून से रेनफॉल इंडिया में कहां होती है? दैट इज मोस्टली इन तमिलनाडु एंड कोस्टल आंध्र प्रदेश. Some of the abnormalities in the weather, like cyclone, the different name of the cyclones, you can write down it from the ready books also and NCERT books. NCERT, that 9th standard and 10th standard, they have given a one table, name of the cyclones, that hurricanes in North America, typhoon in East Asia and Philippines, cyclone in India and Australia, and Baiku in China. तो जहां पे आपको जब आप प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हो, स्पेशली फॉर जेआरएफ एस्पिरेंट, जिस बुक में आपको कहीं पे टेबल मिलती है मैचिंग के लिए, अगर 5 हैं कंटिन्यूअस बार में तो उसको जरूर अलग से निकाल लीजिए, क्योंकि जो भी पेपर सेट करते हैं, जो भी पेपर बनाते हैं, अगर उनको 5 का कहीं सेट मिल जाता तो पूरा का पूरा दूसरा लोग ढूंढते नहीं. तो यू हैव टू राइट दैट उनको 5 के 5 को लर्न कर लो. कहीं 4 मिल रहा है इकट्ठे तो उनको लर्न कर लो, कहीं 10 मिल रहा है तो उनको लर्न कर लो. वहां से बहुत ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी रहती है क्वेश्चन को, जो मैचिंग एबिलिटी जो आती है उसको मिलाने की. एंड साइक्लोन कब होता है? साइक्लोन इज जनरली ओरिजिनेटेड इन द वाटर वार्मर देन द 27 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. जब वाटर का टेम्परेचर 27 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड से ज्यादा होता है देन द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ द साइक्लोन्स. Cyclones generally originated in the water warmer than the 27 degree centigrade and near the center of I is the center of the cyclone, speed is less than 4 kilometer per hour, but the average speed of the cyclone is 35 kilometer per hour. Per hour. The average diameter of the cyclone I is 23 kilometer. 23 kilometer. ये क्वेश्चन कई बार एग्जाम में पूछा गया है. The average diameter of the cyclone I is 23 kilometer. And origin of the cyclones occurs when the water is warmer than 27 degree centigrade temperature. The average speed of the cyclone is 18 km per hour, but in hurricanes, जब increase कर जाता है, that is 35, but more appropriate value is 18 km per hour. Now come to the weather forecasting. Weather forecasting is the 3 types: short range, medium range, and long range. Short range weather forecasting for 1 or 2 days, and medium range forecasting is 1 to 4 days or 2 weeks. Medium range forecasting is important for the agricultural point of view, and long range forecasting is more than 4 weeks. Here the one that method of forecasting. The conventional or synoptic chart, useful for the short range forecasting, synoptic chart, and the statistical methods using the 16 parameter. I have pointed out the 16 parameters, and another one, the numerical weather prediction, means that is the kind of the we can say the modeling or the estimation like this. But here the important is the synoptic method. Synoptic method is used for the forecasting of short range, useful for the short range forecasting. So it is all about the weather forecasting. Another important, the weather modification. Artificial rain making is very important. That NaCl is used for the cloud seeding. Again, we are recommending to use the irrigation. Use of the irrigation. And to avoid the winter or to get the frost. Use of the irrigation, that also recommending the use of the heater, but use of the heater is not so popular, so not much that economic friendly also. So the mulching to reduce the effect of frost. We are recommending the mulching, irrigation, even though conservation agriculture practices also good for protect the crop from the frost. Now come to the classification of the climate. There is a several classification of the climate you can find in the SR Reddy books and Reddy books. These are the basic books. Principle of Agronomy by Reddy, Principle of Agronomy by SR Reddy, and Principle of Crop Production is also an important book written by the SR Reddy. That Köppen is the first person who classify the climate based on the weather elements. Köppen is the first person who classify the climate based on the weather element. If you have the book of that Principle of Crop Production by SR Reddy, उस बुक में एक ड्राईलैंड वाला चैप्टर है, उन्होंने पूरी एक टेबल दी है दैट क्राइटेरिया ऑफ द क्लासिफिकेशन और किसका है वो, उससे मैचिंग आने के बहुत चांसेस रहते हैं, और उससे जब मैचिंग आएगी तो काफी टफ होगी, बच्चे कर नहीं पाएंगे, तो यू शुड लर्न दैट मैचिंग. एंड मोस्ट वाइडली एक्सेप्टेड क्लासिफिकेशन आर द कूपन्स एंड थोरेन्सवेट क्लासिफिकेशन. ये कई बार पूछा गया है कि मोस्ट वाइडली एक्सेप्टेड क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ द क्लाइमेट गिवन बाय द कूपन्स एंड थोरेन्सवेट. द क्लासिफिकेशन सुटेबल फॉर द एग्रीकल्चर पर्पज प्रपोज्ड बाय द ट्रोल. ये भी पूछा जा चुका है कि द क्लासिफिकेशन सुटेबल फॉर द एग्रीकल्चर पर्पज बाय प्रपोज्ड बाय ट्रोल 1965. And Thorentved classification is based on the P index, T index, and seasonal distribution of rainfall. इस तरह से आपको जिस Thorentved क्लासिफिकेशन दिया है, इसमें मैंने एक ही लिया है, based on the precipitation, temperature and seasonal variation in the rainfall, seasonal distribution of the rainfall. इस तरह से पूरा करीब 8-10 क्लासिफिकेशन दिए हैं उस टेबल में, तो वहां से आप लेके उसको लर्न कीजिए. बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ द क्लाइमेट. And P index is equal to the precipitation effectiveness index is equal to P by E multiplied by 100. ये भी पूछा गया है, ये भी कई एग्जामों में पूछा गया है इसका फार्मूला. Now it is all, we can say, the almost about some climatological portion. Now we will discuss the influence of the climate on crop. So 5 मिनट का ब्रेक ले लेते हैं भाई. We will discuss later, है ना? Dr. Pamar, should I can take the 5-minute break? सर थोड़ा सा क्लास ले रहा हूँ सर, है ना सर? मैं आ जाऊंगा शाम को. So now we should start the influence of the climate on the crop. That is solar radiation. Solar radiation is without solar radiation it is almost impossible to cultivate the most of the crops. And first one is the thermal effect of the solar radiation. About 70% of the solar radiation absorbed by the plant is converted into the heat. The total solar radiation है उसका 70% is used for the conversion in the heat. The photosynthetic effect of the radiation, only 28% is used in terms of the energy. 70% आपका जो है that is only for that generation of the temperature, that is heat or thermal effect, and photosynthetic effect that is 28% used for the radiation, that is used for conversion in the energy. And photoperiodic effect to regulate the growth and development of the crops. Growth and development of the crops. So first other effect we can say apart from the photoperiodic effect, the solar radiation, that you can find a table in Ready book at page number that I think 40 in old book and 45, 46 something in the new book. So you can find a one table and they have written the percentage, the ultraviolet spectral range and PAR spectral range. The spectral range of the PAR we asked in so many examinations, 0.4 to 0.7 microgram, that micrometer, 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer, या 400 to 700 nanometer. ये कई बार एग्जाम में पूछा गया है, and it having the significant effect on the plant's life. So that table is very, very important, and from which you can find the solar radiation ranges. That 0.3 to 0.55 having the photoperiod effect, and 0.4 to 0.7 is used for the photosynthesis, and radiation radiation, that size we can say more than 0.74 microgram or that micrometer, having no at all effect on the photosynthesis. ये तीनों रेंजें आपको याद होनी चाहिए. इन तीनों में से एक न एक किसी न किसी एग्जाम में आपको जरूर पूछी जाएगी. ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. That it can be asked in so many examination. ठीक है भाई, क्या साइन करना है? तो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बहुत बड़े भाई हम लोग. So another important is the growth. So we should know what is the growth. Growth is a irreversible change. Growth is the irreversible change. But development denotes the phasic change. Growth is the irreversible change and development is the phasic change. एक न्यूमेरिकल प्रॉब्लम दी हुई है एसआर रेड्डी की बुक में. दैट इज कैलकुलेशन ऑफ द पार इंटरसेप्टेड बाय ए क्राफ्ट. वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूमेरिकल है. उसको कई बार ट्राई कीजिए और वो आपको आनी चाहिए. इंटरसेप्टेड रेडिएशन, ये इस तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स एग्जामों में पूछी जा चुकी हैं. उससे आपको क्लियर कट आइडिया आ जाएगा कि किस तरह से कैलकुलेशन करते हैं, क्या करते हैं. फर्स्ट वन द सोलर रेडिएशन, इन अदर इज द टेम्परेचर. टेम्परेचर का बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्ट है. तो यू फर्स्ट नो द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ द टेम्परेचर. मींस कार्डिनल टेम्परेचर. व्हाट इज द कार्डिनल टेम्परेचर? इसको लिख लीजिए. कार्डिनल टेम्परेचर कई बार एग्जाम में पूछा गया है. आई एम टेलिंग ऑल द इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स. कार्डिनल टेम्परेचर इज द minimum, optimum and maximum temperature. Minimum, optimum and maximum temperature is called the cardinal temperature. Then what is the minimum temperature? Minimum temperature below which no biological activity. Optimum temperature, maximum biological activity. And maximum temperature, the temperature above which activity is ceases. In here you can find the cardinal temperature for the cool season crop. Maximum 30 to 38 degree centigrade, minimum 0 to 5 and optimum 25 to 30 degree centigrade. यहाँ से आपको क्लियर कट आइडिया मिल सकता है कि किसी क्राफ्ट का अगर ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर पूछा जाता है और आपको याद नहीं है इन केस, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि वो क्राफ्ट रबी सीजन की है या खरीफ सीजन की है. इफ यू नो ए पार्टिकुलर क्राफ्ट इज द रबी सीजन, देन it will be the cool season crop. Then optimum temperature for that crop will be the 25 to 30 degree centigrade. Okay, and similarly the warm season crop means kharif season crop, the optimum temperature is 30 to 38 degree centigrade and minimum 15 to 20 degree centigrade and maximum 45 to 50 degree centigrade. अगर आपको बिल्कुल पता नहीं है कि क्राप का पार्टिकुलर क्राप का टेम्परेचर क्या है, तो यहां से यू कैन हैव दी फेयर आइडिया. अगर ये तीन रेंजें आपको याद है तो आप किसी भी टेम्परेचर क्राप का पूछा जाएगा तो गलत नहीं करोगे. वैसे जर्मिनेशन टेम्परेचर ऑफ व्हीट कई बार एग्जाम में पूछा गया है. दैट इज 22.7 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. कुछ किताबों में 22 से लेकर 25 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड तक लिखा है. सिद्धा सीधे 25 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड टेम्परेचर लिखा है और दूसरी बुक्स में किसी ने 22 से लेकर 24.5-25 तक लिखा है. तो यू शुड लर्न द टेम्परेचर. इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो द जर्मिनेशन ऑप्टिमम जर्मिनेशन टेम्परेचर ऑफ द व्हीट. कई एग्जामों में पूछा गया है. Now the important thing is the growing degree day. Growing degree day is the means the heat unit is the mean temperature above the base temperature. Growing degree day is the mean temperature relationship between the growth duration and temperature. It denotes the relationship between the growth duration and temperature. It measures that mean temperature above the base temperature. So growing degree day की डेफिनेशन क्या है? इट डिनोट द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द ग्रोथ ड्यूरेशन एंड टेम्परेचर एंड मीन टेम्परेचर above the base temperature. Similarly, the heat unit proposed by the Reaumur and photothermal units, that is growing degree day, when multiplied by the length of night or day is called the photothermal unit. The base temperature of the different crops, that Kharif season crop, the base temperature is at 10 degrees centigrade, and Rabi season crop, the base temperature मतलब minimum temperature. Base temperature for the wheat crop or the Rabi season crop, that is 4 to 5 degrees centigrade. 4 to 5 degrees centigrade is the base temperature for the wheat and other Rabi crops. And for the Kharif season crops, basically the rice, maize and palm millet, the base temperature is the 10 degree centigrade. तो फोटोथर्मल यूनिट का हमने आपको ऑलरेडी बता ही दिया है कैसे करके करेंगे. राइस इन इंटायर ड्यूरेशन टेकन दी 2200 फोटोथर्मल यूनिट्स. राइस का 2200 थर्मल यूनिट लेता है फॉर द इंटायर ड्यूरेशन, PTU फोटोथर्मल यूनिट्स. So it is all about the effect of the temperature, and another the rainfall and wind. They also having different kind of the effects. So that what is the CV? CV, it comes in the rainfall. That's why I am discussing you. CV, that is standard deviation divided by the mean multiplied by the 100. That coefficient of variance is the standard deviation divided by the mean. In agricultural experiment, the CV should not more than 15%. In some cases, 15 to 20%, but 15% is the good value for the field experimentation. And lab experimentation, it should be less than 10%. Coefficient of variation means CV ज़्यादा है. If CV is more, the variation in the rainfall will be more. Means rainfall is less. CV is more, but rainfall is less. So these things you must know. And another wind. If wind is more, that wind is blowing in more, that in more frequency, then it increases the enzymes. Means some abscisic enzymes, some ethylene, other enzymes, abscisic and ethylene in the plant. So the displacement of the plant from the surface is called lodging. The lodging occurs when the concentration of the abscisic acid and ethylene is more at the base. That's why CV is the coefficient. We will discuss later, no problem. That it is the increases the production of the some growth hormones, growth retardants. If the wind is blowing in more, that more strongly, that is increase the some growth retardants. That's why plants going to lodge or reduce the growth of the crops. So next important thing is that growth. Growth, we have all the growth. We got that most of the questions related to the growth. If you go to the physiology point of view, first is the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is that started by the entry of the carbon dioxide into the cell, and entry of the carbon dioxide into the cell. Basically, the plant leaves having the different structure. First one is the that entry is resisted by the boundary layer resistance. Another one is the stromatal resistance, followed by the mesophyll resistance. Three kinds of the resistance are first by the leaf to restrict the entry of the carbon dioxide. First one, boundary layer resistance. Second one is the stromatal resistance. Third one is the mesophyll resistance. Another important is the photolysis. Photolysis means the breakdown of the water, dissociation of the water, we can say. And another important terms here, you should know the photorespiration. Photorespiration occurs in the C3 plants. That's why the yield of C3 plants is less as compared to the C4 plant. ये क्वेश्चन कई बार पूछा गया है कि फोटो रेस्पिरेशन किस प्लांट में होता है, किस प्लांटों में होता है. दैट इज इन C3 plants. Photo respiration occurs in C3 plants. Another, the reduction of the carbon dioxide. On the basis of the reduction of the carbon dioxide, plants is classified into C3 plants, C4 plant, and CAM plants. You must remember the first carbon product in the C3, C4. ये कई बार एग्जाम पूछा गया है. फर्स्ट कार्बन प्रोडक्ट कौन सा है C3 प्लांट्स में और C4 प्लांट में. ये आपको याद होना चाहिए. ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. और C3 प्लांट बेसिकली एक कॉमन टर्म बता रहा हूं मैं, बहुत रफ टर्म में है, जिनकी लीफ छोटी होती है, दैट इज C3 प्लांट। ये बहुत हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है, लेकिन आपको कुछ नहीं पता है तो बाय भी यू कैन गेन एक आइडिया। जैसे शुगर केन, उसकी लीफ लंबी होती है, ओके, दैट इज C4 प्लांट। ये साइंटिफिकली आइडिया नहीं है, बट एक आइडिया है लर्न करने का, जिस आपको आप लर्न कर सकते हो इस बेस पे। तो C3 है राइस, व्हीट, कॉटन, सोयाबीन, एंड C4 में आपका शुगर केन, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द बीड्स आर दी C4 प्लांट, मोस्ट ऑफ द बीड्स आर दी C4 प्लांट। एक इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये है कि वाटर डिफिशियंसी C4 प्लांट की ज्यादा होती है। अगर कैम आएगा तो कैम की ज्यादा है, बट यील्ड C3 की ज्यादा होती है मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस में। इसका आंसर आप लोग खोजना और खोज के हमको बताना कि वाटर डिफिशियंसी इसकी ज्यादा होने के बावजूद भी प्लांट ड्यू टू द स्ट्रक्चर दे आर नॉट इवन दैट we can say compete with the other plants. And the rising the temperature, how affecting the yield of the C3 and C4 plant, climate change effect on the C3 and C4 plant, इसको आप पढ़ना। एक दो क्वेश्चन आपको यहाँ से जरूर मिलेगा एग्जामिनेशन में। रेस्पिरेशन, the dark respiration and photorespiration, similarly the net photosynthesis and translocation of the assimilates. Now come to the growth expression. ग्रोथ एक्सप्रेशन, सिग्मोइड ग्रोथ कर्व। ग्राफ का कैसा ग्रोथ कर्व होता है? सिग्मोइड ग्रोथ कर्व। अगेन हियर इज इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द बीड एंड यील्ड, नेगेटिव कोरिलेशन, मींस इफ यू इंक्रीज द बीड, if we increase the bead density, reduction in the bead yield. So the growth is negative, having the negative relation between the yield, the bead growth having the negative relation between the yield of the grass. ये क्वेश्चन भी कई बार एग्जाम में पूछा गया है कि बीड ग्रोथ और यील्ड का क्या रिलेशन है। दे हैव द नेगेटिव कोरिलेशन, नेगेटिव कोरिलेशन। Again the growth, sigmoid growth curve. Sigmoid growth curve, what is denote? No, what sigmoid growth curve is denoting? There are the 4, 5. They have the 4, 5. I think kind of we can say phases. First phase is the lag phase. Lag phase means initial growth is steady growth, slow growth. After the log phase, log phase मतलब maximum growth. जो आपकी सिग्मॉइड कर्व है उसमें मैक्सिमम ग्रोथ कब होती है? ऑन दी लॉग फेज। मैक्सिमम ग्रोथ अकर्स ऑन दी लॉग फेज। आफ्टर दैट द डिक्रीजिंग ग्रोथ एंड देन द प्लेटू एंड देयर आफ्टर द सेनेसेंस। तो मैक्सिमम ग्रोथ अकर्स एट द लॉग फेज स्टेज। लॉग फेज स्टेज पे मैक्सिमम ग्रोथ होती है। नाउ यू आल्सो नो द लॉ ऑफ लिमिटिंग फैक्टर्स। लॉ ऑफ मिनिमम ओरिजिनली proposed by the Justice Mal Living in 1862. It is also known as the barrel concept. It is also known as the barrel concept. इन्होंने कहा कि plant growth is restricted in relation to a particular nutrient or particular factor which having in minimum quantity. Minimum quantity जिस अगर किसी की growth कम हो रही है, it is related to the particular factor present in the minimum quantity. And last outcome of limiting factor proposed by the Blackman in 1905. He stated that the process is conditional. उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, कोई अगर एक फैक्टर कम है, स्मॉलर क्वांटिटी में है, उससे ग्रोथ इफेक्ट होगी। ब्लैकमैन ने कहा नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है, ये कंडीशनल है। इट इज ए रैपिडिटी बाय ए नंबर ऑफ सेपरेट फैक्टर्स। उन्होंने कहा रैपिडिटी ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ द सेपरेट फैक्टर, द रेट ऑफ प्रोसेस इज लिमिटेड बाय द पेस ऑफ स्लोएस्ट फैक्टर। उन्होंने कहा किसी से भी, उन्होंने कहा नहीं ऐसा नहीं, ये कंडीशनल है, जिसकी सबसे कम होगी उससे ज्यादा होगा। एंड अगेन दैट inverse yield nitrogen law. Inverse yield nitrogen law proposed by the Wilcox. ये कई बार पूछा गया है, who proposed the inverse yield nitrogen law? Wilcox. एंड विल्कॉक्स ने एक साइंस भी दिया, दैट इज एग्रोबायोलॉजी, एग्रोबायोलॉजी. एंड आल्सो विल्कॉक्स is called as a father of agrobiology. Who is the father of agrobiology? That is Wilcox. And Wilcox proposed the law of inverse yield nitrogen law. Means इन्होंने कहा कि जैसे नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट अगर किसी में ज्यादा होगी तो उसकी यील्ड कम होगी, और जिस प्लांट में नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट ज्यादा होगी जीनोटाइप में उसकी यील्ड कम होगी, जिसकी नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट कम होगी उसकी यील्ड ज्यादा होगी. मींस नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट इज इनवर्सली रिलेटेड टू द यील्ड ऑफ द क्रॉप. एंड उन्होंने कहा दो तरह के जीनोटाइप होते हैं, पर अल्ट्रा प्लांट एंड सब अल्ट्रा प्लांट. और इन्होंने कहा कि इंटायर क्रॉप प्लांट इन लाइफ ड्यूरेशन रिमूव 318 पाउंड पर एकड़ नाइट्रोजन, 318 पाउंड पर एकड़. ये कई बार पूछा गया है कि एन कंस्टेंट कितना है विल्कॉक्स के नियम, विल्कॉक्स के लॉ का, दैट इज 318 पाउंड पर एकड़. इन्होंने कहा कि कोई भी क्रॉप 318 पाउंड नाइट्रोजन ही रिमूव करता है. देयर इज सेवरल, इसके क्रिटिसिज्म भी कई आए, वी विल नॉट गो इन डिटेल इन क्रिटिसिज्म. आप इतना याद रखिए कि एज पर दी विल्कॉक्स द नाइट्रोजन कंस्टेंट इज 318 पाउंड पर एकड़. नाउ कम टू द ग्रोथ एनालिसिस. फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट ग्रोथ एनालिसिस इज LAI, लीफ एरिया इंडेक्स. लीफ एरिया इंडेक्स वाज फर्स्ट प्रपोज्ड बाय द वाटसन. एक कई बार पूछा गया है कि हु प्रपोज्ड द लीफ एरिया इंडेक्स, दैट इज प्रपोज्ड बाय द वाटसन. लीफ एरिया इज इक्वल टू that LAI is equal to leaf area divided by the ground area. Similarly, the AGR, absolute growth rate, means एक पार्टिकुलर दिन में कितना ग्रोथ हुआ है, मतलब मींस W2 माइनस W1. अभी कितना वेट है, एक घंटा पहले कितना वेट था, डिवाइड बाय दी अभी का समय और एक घंटा पहले का समय. दैट विल गिव द एक्चुअल वेट ऑफ द क्रॉप. इन अदर वन इज द CGR, क्रॉप ग्रोथ रेट. एक कई बार पूछा गया है. CGR means increase in the dry matter in gram per meter square per day is called CGR. CGR means increase in the dry matter in grams per meter square per day. And similarly the RGR, relative growth rate. Relative growth rate is known as compound interest. एक कई बार पूछा गया है, which growth indices is called the compound that based on the interest, that called the compound interest. So that is RGR. Another important thing denoted the rate of photosynthesis, that is NAR, net assimilation rate. Net assimilation rate means gram of dry matter produced per square dry matter of the leaf in a day. NAR बहुत important है, कई बार पूछा गया है. NAR means leaf area of the individual plants has to be used but not leaf area. Means for the calculation of the NAR, we should use the individual plant leaf, not the leaf area index. So it is the NAR. Developmental analysis is LPR, leaf production rate, means production of the number of the leaves per day. And leaf duration. Leaf duration means duration, how long the particular leaf is attached to a crop. आप SR रेड्डी की बुक है प्रिंसिपल ऑफ क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन, उसमें काफी डिटेल में दिया हुआ है, वहां से इसको पढ़िए, बहुत ज्यादा क्लियर होगा. Another important thing is the yield analysis. Yield analysis means biological yield and economic yield. Biological yield is equal to economic yield plus that grain yield plus straw yield. And the harvest index proposed by the Donald, 1963. In some book, the harvest index, some book they have written the Nicky Provic. Nicky Provic actually given the idea, but Donald proposed the harvest index. The harvest index is the economic yield divided by the biological yield. Economic yield divided by the biological yield. Actually, harvest index proposed by the Donald, and harvest index is also known as the coefficient of effectiveness. The coefficient of effectiveness term given by the Nicky Provic. Niti-Probic given the term coefficient of the effectiveness, and harvest index term given by the Donald. The harvest index is the ratio of the economic yield to the biological yield. So this is all about the basics of the agronomy. I know it was very fast, otherwise it is not able to complete these important tasks in 2 hour time. And if you require, you just send me your email or message. I will clear your doubts. It is a big, vast topic actually. Principles of agronomy itself take 1 month to read out everything in the principle of agronomy. Okay, thank you one and all. Now we will discuss your query and questions one by one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We will see questions which are dropped in the chat box one by one. So one question, first question is there. What is the difference between lapse rate and adiabatic lapse rate?
अक्सर स्टूडेंट को आप जो है अनम्यूट कर दीजिए.
Gule?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And unmute the students.
First, we will see the questions which are put in the chat box, or we can directly interact with the students.
I think first I would like to interact directly with the student, and
participant
then I will
directly can.
Participants.
Okay, sir, no problem.
If you want to ask something, you can directly ask to the expert.
Participants, please come forward. No need to ask the question you have dropped in the chat box. That I will answer one by one. No issue. We have time. अगर किसी को ऐसे पूछना है कुछ तो पूछिए. It is very important.
You can ask. Don't hesitate to ask. Come forward.
जो भी आपके दिमाग में आए, गलत सही कुछ भी, just to ask me.
You can directly to the sir, no problem. Sir, really answer your all questions. No.
आवाज आपकी क्लियर नहीं आ रही है.
Network issue at the university place.
Okay.
That is the problem. So I think we have to start the questions.
Okay.
From
first
the chat
question,
box.
How I can see the chat box? Here the chat box.
Sir, I will repeat.
Okay. You may please repeat.
What is the difference between lapse rate and adiabatic lapse rate?
Yeah, very pertinent question. Lapse rate actually the vertical temperature gradient or the decrease in the temperature as per the height. Vertical. If we increase the vertically and decrease in the temperature. अगर हम vertically बढ़ते हैं, ऊपर की ओर बढ़ते हैं और टेम्परेचर में जो कमी आती है, टेम्परेचर में जो ग्रेडियंट आती है, that is called lapse rate. The average value of lapse rate is 6.5 degree centigrade per kilometer. ये चेंज भी हो सकती है, लेकिन नॉर्मल लैप्स रेट जो है, जो वैल्यू है, दैट इज 6.5 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पर किलोमीटर. और एडियाबैटिक लैप्स रेट है, ये टेम्परेचर चेंजेज होता है जब एयर बढ़ रही है या एयर कम हो रही है. इट इज रिलेटेड विद द एयर, राइज एंड फॉल इन द एयर. दैट इज रिलेटेड विद द हाइट. दैट लैप्स रेट इज रिलेटेड टू द वर्टिकल हाइट. मतलब हाइट और वर्टिकल डिक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर. और जो एडियाबैटिक लैप्स रेट है, दैट इज रिलेटेड टू द एयर फॉल हो रही है, राइज हो रही है, उस पर डिपेंड करता है. और ये मतलब जो है, हमेशा जब भी क्वेश्चन आपको एग्जाम में पूछा जाएगा तो ड्राई जरूर लगा होगा, एडियाबैटिक लैप्स नहीं लिखा होगा, ड्राई एडियाबैटिक लैप्स रेट लिखा होगा, क्योंकि एडियाबैटिक लैप्स रेट जो है ड्राई एयर की ही कंस्टेंट होती है. आई थिंक नाउ इट इज क्लियर. अगर डाउट है तो बताइए, फिर से क्लियर करेंगे.
Next one, sir, what is the difference between psychrometer, evaporimeter, hygrometer, hair hygrometer, pycnometer? They are
yeah. Actually, these are the equipments used to measure the different kind of the weather elements. और इनमें थोड़े थोड़े डिफरेंस होते हैं। अगर हम टेम्परेचर का करेंगे तो जो थर्मोमीटर है दे यूज फॉर द मेजरमेंट ऑफ द टेम्परेचर, एंड हाइग्रोमीटर यूज फॉर द मेजरमेंट ऑफ दैट ह्यूमिडिटी। और ह्यूमिडिटी में भी मतलब जो है ह्यूमन एयर हाइग्रोमीटर, उसमें ह्यूमन हेयर यूज करते हैं, उसकी थिकनेस से पता करते हैं कि कितनी ह्यूमिडिटी है। पाइकोनोमीटर, there is another that equipment used to measure the solar radiation। ये अलग अलग बेटा इक्विपमेंट दैट इम्प्लीमेंट्स है डिफरेंट पर्पज के लिए, इसलिए इनके अंतर भी अलग है और ये सेम चीज नहीं है। हम यहाँ पे जो है आम का ही कंपेरिजन कर सकते हैं, आम और अमरूद का कंपेरिजन कैसे करेंगे? एक तो अमरूद है, एक आम है। अगर आप ये पूछें कि मैक्सिमम थर्मामीटर मिनिमम थर्मामीटर में क्या अंतर है, तो क्वेश्चन ठीक बनता है कि इसमें मरकरी थर्मामीटर बोलते हैं एक को, है ना, एक को सॉइल थर्मामीटर बोलते हैं, सॉइल मैक्सिमम थर्मामीटर को। ये मतलब जो आपका जो क्वेश्चन है बहुत ही अच्छा क्वेश्चन है और जागरूकता होना बहुत ही अच्छी बात है, लेकिन ये टोटल अलग अलग वेदर एलिमेंट को मेजर करने के लिए अदर अदर इक्विपमेंट है और इन सबको आप लर्न कीजिए अच्छे से और आई एम प्रीटी श्योर एक दो जरूर मिलेगा एग्जामिनेशन में। ओके, थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज।
What is the relationship between humidity and temperature?
ह्यूमिडिटी एंड टेम्परेचर, अगर टेम्परेचर ज्यादा होगा तो ह्यूमिडिटी इन जनरल कम होगी। रेडिएशन ज्यादा होगा, टेम्परेचर ज्यादा होगा तो ह्यूमिडिटी इन जनरल कम होगी, क्योंकि टेम्परेचर से इवापोरेशन हो जाएगा, ठीक है, और ह्यूमिडिटी अपने आप कम होगी। एंड ह्यूमिडिटी आल्सो दैट यू कैन डिनोट द स्पेसिफिक ह्यूमिडिटी एंड एब्सोल्यूट ह्यूमिडिटी। इनमें जो है वेरिएशन ज्यादा होता है, इसीलिए इन सबको उतना यूज नहीं करते हैं, रिलेटिव ह्यूमिडिटी को ज्यादा यूज करते हैं फॉर द मेजरमेंट, एंड इट इज द इनवर्स रिलेशन बिटवीन द टेम्परेचर एंड ह्यूमिडिटी।
Yes. Next is green water cycle and blue water cycle.
ग्रीन वाटर साइकिल मींस जो हमारा वाटर है। ब्लू वाटर साइकिल में आपने जो डर्टी वाटर वी कैन से डर्टी वाटर रिसाइकलिंग होगी, दैट इज दैट ब्लू वाटर मतलब कंटामिनेटेड वाटर को हम रिसाइकलिंग करते हैं तो उनको उसमें डालेंगे, और ग्रीन वाटर वाटर फ्रेश वाटर वी कैन से यूज फॉर द एग्रीकल्चर पर्पज एंड ड्रिंकिंग पर्पज लाइक दिस।
Next one is difference between tropical, subtropical, and temperate zones.
Yeah, it is totally related that it is based on the classification of the climates, and suppose if we know that tropical climate also divided into tropical dry climate, tropical wet climate, and it is based on the classification. Suppose for taking the example of the that based on the Thornbed classification, Thornbed ने कहा है कि ह्यूमिड है, सब ह्यूमिड है, that depend on the P index, and tropical climate, those climate that T index more than 128. And again the Troll also classified that tropical rainy climate, tropical humid climate. It is the kind of the classification based on the different parameters. If you go in detail, इसको आपने जो क्लासिफिकेशन पढ़ेंगे डिफरेंट जो ऑथर्स हैं जिन्होंने साइंटिस्ट ने प्रपोज किए हैं, उससे आप एकदम क्लियर हो जाएगा कि किस बेसिस पे उन्होंने क्लासिफाइड किए हैं। इफ यू टेकिंग द एग्जांपल ऑफ द ट्रॉपिकल ड्राई क्लाइमेट में नंबर ऑफ ह्यूमिड मंथ is 2 to 4.5, and tropical wet climate में humid one somehow that is 4.5 to 7. So these are based on the classifications on the basis of different parameters. That's a next please.
Direction of trade wind in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere.
That is clockwise and anti-clockwise. Next, please.
What is CV?
CV is the coefficient of variance. Coefficient of variance, जहां variation ज्यादा होगा वहां CV ज्यादा होगी, जहां variation कम होगा वहां CV कम होगी, and standard deviation divided by the mean multiplied by the 100 is called CV. Next, please.
Weather pressure lower, down or higher at the center of cyclone.
सेंटर ऑफ साइक्लोन पे प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा तभी तो हवा ऊपर उठती है। प्रेशर अगर कम होगा, प्रेशर ज्यादा होगा, जब प्रेशर इकट्ठा होता है चारों तरफ से, देन साइक्लोन क्या है, जो हम गर्मियों में बाहर निकलते हैं कहीं कहीं, तो देखेंगे ऐसे गोल होकर हवा ऊपर उठती है, गोल होकर हवा ऊपर जब उठ रही है तो मोर प्रेशर, अगर प्रेशर कम रहेगा तो नीचे के लिए जाएगा।
Yes, yes, yes. Sir, CO2 requirement high for C3 plants for photosynthesis, so yield is more. That is correct or not?
CO2 रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ दैट, देखिए इसमें दो चीजें हैं। इफ यू गो फॉर हिली रीजन, हिली रीजन में जैसे टेम्परेचर बढ़ेगा, ठीक है, जब टेम्परेचर बढ़ेगा हिली रीजन में तो C3 प्लांट की यील्ड बढ़ेगी, लेकिन मेनलैंड में टेम्परेचर बढ़ने से यील्ड कम होगी। CO2 फर्टिलाइजेशन इसको बोलते हैं, एक टर्म है CO2 फर्टिलाइजेशन। अप टू ए सर्टेन लेवल CO2, if concentration of CO2 is more, it increases the yield irrespective of the C3 or C4 plant, but simultaneously जब ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगा CO2 का लेवल तो टेम्परेचर भी रेज करेगा। तो CO2 फर्टिलाइजर मींस इंक्रीजिंग द CO2, इंक्रीजिंग द यील्ड, बट अप टू ए सर्टेन लेवल इट इंक्रीजेस द टेम्परेचर आल्सो। जब टेम्परेचर बढ़ जाएगा तो वो ठीक नहीं रहेगा। इट इज क्लियर आई थिंक नाउ?
Yes, 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 yes. One more is Mr. Lokesh want to information about different things available in the meteorological observatory.
अच्छा, मेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑब्जर्वेटरी में बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं। बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है। एक बुक है, आपको बता रहा हूँ, एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजी रिटन बाय दी एसआर रेड्डी। वो बहुत ही अच्छी बुक है और उन्होंने मतलब जो एक लेआउट दिया है। एक और बुक है सुब्रामण्यम की, दैट प्रिंसिपल ऑफ एग्रोनॉमी, उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छा करके बताया है कि एक एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजी में क्या क्या होना चाहिए, क्या उसकी साइज होनी चाहिए, किस तरह के इक्विपमेंट रखने चाहिए और कहाँ पे कौन सा इक्विपमेंट होना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई सा भी कहीं पे भी रख दो। जैसे ऑब्जर्वेटरी में मान लीजिए आपने क्लास ए, क्लास बी और क्लास सी, तीन तरह की ऑब्जर्वेटरी होती है ना। तो उन तीनों तरह की ऑब्जर्वेटरी में कौन सी ऑब्जर्वेटरी कहाँ पे होगी, मतलब किस क्षेत्र, किस रीजन में होगी, और कौन सी ऑब्जर्वेटरी में कौन सा इक्विपमेंट कहाँ पे होगा। जैसे बी टाइप की ऑब्जर्वेटरी को हम लोग कहते हैं ऑर्डिनरी मेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑब्जर्वेटरी। ए टाइप की ऑब्जर्वेटरी को बोलते हैं प्रिंसिपल एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजिकल ऑब्जर्वेटरी, दैट इज लोकेटेड इन द पुणे। और जो ऑर्डिनरी एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजिकल होती है उसमें बेसिकली रेनफॉल, एयर टेम्परेचर, सॉइल, विंड, इसके वो रहते हैं पैरामीटर। और सी टाइप की जो होती है जैसे दैट ऑक्सिलरी एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजी। ऑक्सिलरी एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजी दैट ऑक्सिलरी एग्रोमेट्रोलॉजी ऑब्जर्वेटरी ये डाटा सेंड करती हैं मतलब बड़ी मेट्रोलॉजी को, छोटी मेट्रोलॉजी होती है बेसिकली वी कैन से। नेक्स्ट प्लीज।
Next question by Vikas about Stevenson screen.
स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन, स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन बेसिकली काइंड ऑफ, हाँ एक मैं स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन से पहले आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि एक कोई भी जैसे होता है, जैसे मान लीजिए आपने जो भी रखना है मेट्रोलॉजी में, आपने मतलब सोलर रेडिएशन मेजर करने के लिए रखा है या उसको मेजर करने के लिए रखा है, कोई मतलब जो है थर्मामीटर वगैरह, तो उसकी हाइट होती है, एक पर्टिकुलर हाइट होती है, दैट इज 1.25 और 1.5 मीटर। वो इसलिए रखते हैं, वो हाइट फिक्स है, उसमें चेंज नहीं होता है। जनरली 1.25 मीटर रखते हैं, 1.25 मीटर रखते हैं।
Yes, yes, yes.
हाँ, तो उसको एक कई बार एग्जामों में पूछा जा सका है और पूछने के मुझे लग रहा है उम्मीद है इस टाइप की क्वेश्चन।
Yes, yes. Ask in many times about this.
या है 1.25 मीटर जो हाइट रहती है उस पे हम जो है इन सबको मतलब जो है रखते हैं। और रिगार्डिंग दी चाहे थर्मामीटर हो, चाहे वो क्या नाम इसका अपने वो हो, क्या नाम है अपने रेडिएशन मेजरमेंट करने के लिए हो, कुछ भी हो, उनको हम जो है उसमें रखते हैं। और 1.5 मीटर है, 1.25 मीटर, ये अगर 1.5 ऑप्शन होगा तो 1.25 नहीं होगा, 1.25 होगा 1.5 नहीं होगा, ये दोनों याद कर लो। और रिगार्डिंग द स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन, स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन को एक बॉक्स होता है बेसिकली, ये 1.5 मीटर इसको फिक्स कर देते हैं और इसमें थर्मामीटरों को रखते हैं। बेसिकली थर्मामीटर रखने के लिए जो स्पेशल बूडर बॉक्स होता है उसको स्टीवेंसन स्क्रीन कहते हैं, इसको 1.5 मीटर पे फिक्स करते हैं। नेक्स्ट प्लीज।
Yes, yes, yes. Sir, one is, do you have any trick or remember minerals and their element?
minerals and their
Their
elements.
elements.
इस तरह का
Last
ट्रिक
time you have
बनाया
given
नहीं है
a
मैंने।
trick.
ट्रिक बना दूंगा तो बता दूंगा आप लोग को। बाकी वैसे मैं ट्रिक बनाता खूब हूँ, लेकिन बनाया
If
नहीं है। लेकिन
possible,
minerals
I will call you again. You please.
एंड मिनरल्स का हमको जो है अभी ट्रिक नहीं बनाया है मैंने। बना दूंगा यार, आप लोग कहोगे मेहनत करो, ट्रिक बनाने में कुछ भी नहीं है, जब चाहेंगे तो बना लेंगे।
Definitely, definitely,
और
sir.
ट्रिक जब ही बनती है जब याद होता है,
Yes, 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 yes.
है ना? वैसे ट्रिक नहीं बनती है।
Sir, last one is regarding how to calculate harvest index.
हाउ टू कैलकुलेट दी हार्वेस्ट इंडेक्स। हार्वेस्ट इंडेक्स हमने बताया कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ इफेक्टिवनेस की इसको कहते हैं। कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ इफेक्टिवनेस प्रोपोज्ड बाय द निचिप्रोविक एंड हार्वेस्ट इंडेक्स प्रोपोज्ड बाय द डोनाल्ड। हार्वेस्ट इंडेक्स में क्या होता है, इकोनॉमिक यील्ड है, जैसे व्हीट है, व्हीट में हमने जो है जो ग्रेन है, ग्रेन इज द इकोनॉमिक यील्ड डिवाइड बाय द स्टोव दैट बायोलॉजिकल यील्ड। बायोलॉजिकल यील्ड मींस ग्रेन यील्ड प्लस एक्स्ट्रा यील्ड।
Yes.
तो इकोनॉमिक यील्ड डिवाइड बाय द बायोलॉजिकल यील्ड मल्टीप्लाइड बाय द 100, तो परसेंटेज में आ जाएगी। अगर मल्टीप्लाई नहीं करेंगे तो पॉइंट में आएगी। जनरली 0.4 to 0.5 रहती है सीरियल्स की। तो इकोनॉमिक यील्ड डिवाइड बाय द बायोलॉजिकल इज कॉल्ड हार्वेस्ट इंडेक्स।
Yes, yes, yes. If
किसी भी स्टूडेंट को कोई क्वेश्चन है, प्लीज आस्क मी।
you can also talk by unmuting your voice.
अगर
Participant can unmute himself or ask directly to the sir. No problem.
हाँ, डायरेक्ट पूछिए, बहुत अच्छा लगेगा हमको।
They have permitted to unmute themselves.
Yes, 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 yes.
Participants, please ask
Anybody
me.
from participants want to ask anything, having any query about agrometeorology or
Principles of
any
agronomy,
topic, principles of
you can ask
agronomy?
entire agronomy, statics also, no issue. डॉक्टर साहब स्टैटिक्स कौन पढ़ा रहा है?
वन IISRI से मेंबर है।
बहुत बढ़िया। स्टैटिक्स क्लियर होना बहुत जरूरी है एग्रोनॉमिस्ट को।
Yes, yes, basically experimental designs.
Experimental design.
So I think there is no any question from the participants. I request Mr. Nana Sahib to conclude the session.
Okay, sir. So on behalf of Agriculture Extension and Communication Department, we are very much thankful to you, sir. You have very nicely explained all things, so which are very important regarding to the examination, which are in agriculture, agronomy, then different terms which are comes under agriculture and agronomy. Then different scientists which are always asked in the examination. Then basic in agronomy and agrometeorology, in that important terms including agrometeorology. Agrometeorology, its relation with agriculture, different weather elements like solar radiation, temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, rainfall. Then abnormalities in weather, artificial rainmaking, influence of climate in crops. Then growth and growth explanation in you have different aspects in growth analysis and development analysis. They have also focused on all important questions which are always asked in the examination. And sir, I appreciate you because you have given very nice tricks in previous lecture also and this lecture also. So students had also asked many questions to you freely because you are also freely discussing with the students, because many times students are hesitant to ask questions, but you have freely answered different questions which are asked by the students. So finally, we are thankful you to sir once again, and thank you for giving your valuable times and guidance. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sahab. I express my sincere thanks to the organizers, Mr. Dr. Prashant Pawar and his team, for organizing this wonderful lecture series. I hope definitely this will help to the aspirants who are preparing for the JRF, NET and ARS examinations. Itself, agronomy is a very good subject, and I see and I feel happy there are so many participants attending the program and interested to make their career in the agronomy. And I will be the happiest person if any participant will contact me for the preparation of any kind of the examination related with the agronomy. And my number is 8414876512. 841487 8512. Again, 8414876512. And my email ID is subhiari@gmail.com. subhiari@gmail.com. And this is my WhatsApp number. You can text me, you can message me, and try to build up yourself. And I think this year examination, there are so many students preparing for this year examination also. And don't to move here and there, and no need to read so many books. Whatever you read in clear cut. Okay, 3, 4, 5 books is sufficient. And what we are doing that we are studying one particular book and another particular book, and don't to be puzzled. Some student will ask you the question, they will never ask in any examination. Don't upset and don't be, मतलब जो we can say, उसको परेशान नहीं होना है. आपने अच्छे से पढ़ना है, जो भी बुक पढ़नी है, you should be focus on it. अच्छे से पढ़नी है, 3-4 बार पढ़नी है. I am sure that you can get your admission, you can get your target. Thank you, one and all, and thank you, Dr. Prashant Pawar.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Dr. Pawar, sir, shall we conclude the session?
Hello, Ajit. हाँ डॉक्टर साहब.
हेलो.
हाँ
डॉक्टर
डॉक्टर साहब, हमारे लिए तो आपने समझ लिया है, कभी भी लेक्चर दिलवा लो, कभी भी टॉपिक चेंज कर दो, है ना. ठीक है भाई, छोटे रिसर्चर हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है जब मन चाहे हटा लो, जब मन चाहे बढ़ा लो. नहीं, हम दे देंगे, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं है, 3.5 पे दे देंगे, है ना. ठीक है सर. नमस्ते सर. जी. कोई नहीं सर. 3:30 से कितने बजे तक रहेगा सर? ठीक है सर, ठीक सर, हम 3:30 ले लेंगे. ओके सर. ओके सर, थैंक यू सर. तो डॉक्टर प्रशांत.
No, sir, he has left, sir.
Okay.
Now we will conclude session.
Okay, please conclude it.
Okay, sir.